77% of the children are born out of wedlock.
Well, that's an old. You all been saying that for the past 40 years. Y'all have to update that percentage. I don't even think
No,
that's
a
true.
higher percentage. I thought it was going down, but it's gone up. And the other thing,
how many white children?
Why
are
are you
born out of
asking
wedlock?
about white people? We're talking about black folks. So, Mark, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Jesse. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
God bless you, and happy Black History Month.
Yeah, thank you. Whatever that is.
It's our history. It's our pride. It's something to be proud of. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for Black History Month and the progress of other black people and our ancestors upon whose shoulders you and I both stand, Jesse.
Amazing. We're going to get to that, but first. Oh,
you
God.
wild, man. You wild. Go ahead, bro.
So, Mark, I read that you are a Christian, a liberal slash progressive, a nationalist, and a Pan-Africanist. Is that true? And how is that possible if it's true?
How is it possible for me to be all of those things?
Yes. Is it true, first of all?
Yeah.
And how is that possible to be a Christian and be all those other things? I can see you being those other things, but not a Christian and those things.
You can see me being, you can't see me,
a liberal, a progressive, a nationalist, and a Pan-Africanist.
Well, Jesus was black. He was a revolutionary. He was a political activist. And if he were alive today, he'd be a liberal and a Democrat and a progressive. He provided universal health care. He healed the sick. He gave to the poor.
Okay.
All of those things that liberals, progressives, and Democrats do, Jesus would have done. And he was black. He was an African Hebrew. His family fled to Egypt to hide him from Herod the king, who was killing all of the male children, the firstborn male children, in search of Jesus, killing all of the male children like many of the police do African-American young men today.
Well,
that's what Herod was doing.
The one thing
and
I do want to say,
in Egypt was black. You can't hide in Egypt, Jesse, and be white.
The one thing I do want to say, if Jesus was black, which he was not, but if he was, he would be all those things you just said, because he would have fallen for the lie that was organized and created by the so-called civil rights leaders and the Democratic government, the Democrats. So, but you are a Christian and a pastor, right?
I'm not a pastor, no. I don't pastor church. I'm just a minister. I'm an ordained minister. I'm not a pastor of a church. No.
Jesus was a Jew, by the way. He wasn't black. But let me just say...
the original Jews were black. He was an African Hebrew.
So let me ask, if that...
Christianity and Judaism, the great religions, began in Africa.
But let me ask, if that is true, if that is true that Jesus was black... Why did most, not all, but why is it that most black Americans have fallen away from God? How do you fall away from God?
Most African Americans are in church every Sunday.
It doesn't mean a thing, though.
Many. Well, but most African Americans have not fallen away from God. I don't know how you can even say something like that when you have evangelicals running around supporting sexual predators like Donald Trump and Roy Moore. It seems like white evangelicals
what does that have to do with black people?
Who support sexual predators are the ones that have fallen away from God.
What does that have to do with black people? Falling away from God and Jesus being black.
African-American Christians stopped the sexual predator Roy Moore in Alabama. Not white Christians, black Christians.
Let me ask you, you're deviating from my question. If it's
I'm just showing we haven't fallen away. I mean, I'm not. Give me an example of how we've fallen away.
According to the Washington Examiner, black women who are born in America, 77% of the children are born out of wedlock.
Well, that's an old. You all been saying that for the past 40 years. Y'all have to update that percentage. I don't even think.
No, that's
true.
A higher percentage. I thought it was going down. But it's gone up. And the other thing,
how many white children?
Why are you asking about white people? We're talking about black folks.
Because we're all human beings. We're all the same. So you can't single out black people as having some inherent pathology when others have some of the same issues. The family structures change. People don't get married anymore to have children, Jesse.
But blacks are
This ain't
leading
the
the
50s.
way in having these babies out of wedlock, and you said Jesus was black. But let me ask, if black people are children of God, and Jesus was black, and Christianity started in Africa, why did Christianity flee Africa?
What do you mean?
There-
If-
Christianity is not in Africa. I mean, it's there now
It is.
because it's there now because white Americans and along with some other black people took it back. But if
First of all,
Jesus was
Africa's-
black, why didn't
okay.
Christianity stay in Africa?
All right,
Why
well,
is
let
it
me-
not
let me-
predominant
let me,
in Africa?
Let me ask you a question. First of all, Africa is a continent. It is vast, not a country. Donald Trump thinks it's a country. And many people think it's a country. It is vast. So many religions and forms of spirituality, modes of spirituality originated in Africa, one of which was Christianity. When the Europeans discovered Africa, the Greeks in particular, they came to Africa.
No,
They
because
found
of time.
Christi-
Because of
they
time.
found-
Tell me
let me
why.
finish, though. I'm
why
finished. I'm
is
getting-
not? It's short because we don't
I'm
have a
doing-
lot of time.
Okay,
Why
okay. I'll
is
be
it that-
quick. I'll be quick. The monotheism and form of Christianity that was birthed in Africa was stolen by the Europeans and repackaged and then used to come back to Africa and
Amazing.
oppress us.
Amazing.
I am amazing.
You
know.
know, as long as most black Americans protect their weakness by blaming other people and accusing other people, not going to get anywhere. You got to take responsibility. But let me ask, this is Black History Month. Should we teach Black History Month or American history?
Black history is American history.
Should we teach Black History Month or American history?
Black history is American history.
And what do you mean by that?
That means that we have to include in American history the contributions of African Americans to that history. And all we do is set aside 1 month for people to give special attention to African American history.
Amazing.
Every other month is white history. We talk about white folks' history all the time. We're going to talk about black history
What's
this month.
white history? What is white history?
Everything that isn't black.
Like what, for example?
George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, like as if they were the only ones that contributed to building this country.
You're right in that Black history is American history, but why call it Black history and why set aside 1 month? Why not just incorporate the events or whatever blacks did to make this help make this country great, and just let it be a part of the American history? Why call it Black history and separate yourself from the rest of the folks?
Well, it's a both and, not an either or. It should be a year-round observance, and it should be incorporated. However,
But we should observe it. We should just teach it in schools.
well, we have
as
to
though-
observe it, Jesse, because that's a part of the history. Dr. Carter G. Woodson developed Negro History Week in the early 1900s. It expanded into Black History Month, and it was necessary because we weren't incorporated.
But when were you people
And we
let
still
this-
aren't to a large extent. There's no desire for us to be incorporated in many of the curricula around the country. There's still a big fight about that. I mean, we have to not only be incorporated, but we need to honor the memory of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who picked this month to coincide with Frederick Douglass's birthday. Honor the memory of Frederick Douglass's birthday.
Let me ask.
You and I would not be free without them. And honor this month and keep it alive.
Who is excluding the blacks from American history?
Most textbooks do.
Who are they? Who is doing this though?
The publishers, those who write the curricula in our public schools and in our institutions
Are
of
you
higher
just
learning.
saying that? Where's your proof?
An-
You're just saying that. Where's your proof?
Well,
that
well,
in
here's the proof.
2018,
Here's the proof.
Americans, real Americans, are trying to, or deliberately trying to, exclude black Americans who contribute to making this country great from black history. Where is your proof of that?
Much of the curricula focuses on one speech by one man, the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream speech, but it does not go into depth in terms of the contributions of black history to the building of America. How many of your listeners know the name of the first person to give their life in the Revolutionary War?
That's because it's not being included. No, I don't. It's because
that's what I'm saying. So that's me. That's why you need Black History Month. It was Crispus Attucks.
But
the first man to fall in the Revolutionary War was a black man, Crispus Attucks.
My point is not that. My point is rather than you people fighting for separation by calling things things black.
I just included you. I just brought you into me. I included you.
Hold on, let me make this point.
Now you know
rather than calling it Black history and all that, or fighting for the black stuff, why not just fight to make sure that the history of Black America who contributed to this country in a good way is just added in the books?